Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin is increasingly being mentioned as a possible running mate alongside former President Donald Trump. The pick is expected to be announced at the Republican National Convention next month in Milwaukee. Tom Fitzgerald, live for us tonight in Alexandria. Fitz, the governor was in our area just this morning.
He sure was. Just behind us across the Potomac River over in Maryland, the governor appearing with a group of governors today at a trade event at National Harbor. Now, keep in mind, even though Glenn Youngkin has had several setbacks the last couple of years, like the Potomac Yards Arena deal falling through, like Republicans losing the last general election nationally, Glenn Youngkin is still viewed as a rising star within the Republican Party. Now, just 2 weeks ago, President Trump and Governor Youngkin met privately at the Trump National Golf Course in Virginia. Now, Professor Stephen Farnsworth at the University of Mary Washington says he believes that Glenn Youngkin is a viable and very real vice presidential contender for the Republicans. The governor himself today avoided any VP talk. Instead, he tended to focus on his bipartisan credentials.
Virginia is focused on getting things done, and we don't really fight about politics. We argue about how best to serve businesses, our workforce, and the increasingly growing number of people that are choosing to build their lives in Virginia.
Youngkin is an early endorser of the former president and has not done the sort of things to make an enemy of Donald Trump that some Republicans in Virginia have done.
Now, to throw a little more fuel on this fire, there's this. After this week's first presidential debate, Donald Trump is expected to hold a rally in Virginia. Now, what's interesting about that is Governor Youngkin, we're told, is going to appear with Trump, and that would be the very first time both of these individuals appear together during campaign 2024. What are people saying about this? Well, Fox 5 heard varying opinions from folks about Glenn Youngkin as a vice presidential pick.
I think he'll do a good job. I think he'll pick a person that hopefully knows how to run a business.
Everybody's got to move up, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think he could?
I have no idea.
To me, it doesn't matter who's the governor. I could be the governor, but if you're not forward-thinking and helping the people, sorry.
Now, for his part, Governor Youngkin described that meeting with Trump as a strategy session for both of their political teams to get together and discuss what Youngkin views as a very competitive political slate here in Virginia right now. Recently, both Roanoke College and Fox News released presidential polls showing, in their view, the Commonwealth between Joe Biden and Donald Trump as tied. We're live in Alexandria tonight. We'll send it back to you.